Hey everyone, welcome to the Ryan Liner podcast, where we talk about all things about the experience of existence and why we're here. Please go ahead and click that thumbs up if you like that kind of thing. You're here for that, otherwise you wouldn't be here watching us. And yeah, absolutely. So we are here to talk today with Jessie Hawthorne. Jessie is a Reiki master, Reiki healer, and an experiencer when it comes to CE5 practicing and everything in that good area. So we're here to talk about some cool stuff that's been going on with the world right now with the UAP hearings and her experience with other things. So, Jesse, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you want to kind of give us your story and your breakdown? You said you had a story about CE5, but yeah, wherever you want to start, how far back you want to go, just you start from there.
No problem. So yeah, my name's Jessie. I've been having paranormal, supernatural, all types of experiences since I was a kid. When I was 5, one of my first memories is of seeing a gray, like the top half of its head in the back of one of the yards where I grew up. I grew up in kind of the middle of nowhere. We had, I think, like 2 acres of woods.
Mm.
And in one of the backyards, there was a creek with a bunch of bushes and stuff. And I was back there and I heard like, rustling around and I look and I see the top half of the gray and it went like to the left, to the right, and I don't remember anything. I don't know if I got taken or I just remember
Yeah.
being scared. And I think I ran back to the house, but haven't been hypnotized yet.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is that on your bucket list?
Kinda, yeah. I would love Sarah Breastman Cosme to do it. That would be so freaking awesome. But yeah, it's one of the things I plan on doing one day.
Now, is she local here in Illinois? We're from Illinois, everybody. Sorry, I've never mentioned
Yep.
that before. That's where the channel's from here. So, yeah.
No, she lives in Florida, so she's been practicing Dolores Cannon's methods.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if you know who that is.
I know the name. I know she was a hypnotist. She did past life regression stuff and all of everything in those delving into memories that you got to pull from, not the conscious area.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's what Sarah does. She has 4 books out now, and it just happened by accident. Like she was hypnotizing somebody she knew, and then this woman started talking about Atlantis and how she was at Atlantis and Lemuria and all this stuff. And Sarah was like, "What is going on? What is all this?" So she didn't believe anything. Like, wasn't into this stuff at all. And then it's like the universe like led her down the path.
Yeah,
It's interesting. There we go.
that's really cool. Yeah.
So I've had lots of different experiences. The land I grew up on was an Indian burial ground. So yeah,
Yeah, you had a lot of paranormal experiences, I would say.
yeah. So if you want to put a label on it, the psychic empath, whatever. I had abilities and I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
So I didn't really talk about it. And like I would see 10-foot tall black shadows with red eyes. There was a portal in the woods. We saw orbs all the time, stuff like that. And then since I grew up in the country, we always sky watched. A golf course was across the street, so we would grab blankets and walk across the street and just stare up at the sky, and we'd always see interesting stuff like different lights that would stop, or I say power up when they get really, really bright and
Okay.
then they go down. So if I say power up, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And so how I got introduced to CE5 was in 2020, around February or March, and it was by accident. So I was having a quote unquote dream. I'm gonna use quotations,
Okay.
and I saw this tall, bulbous head, gray ET looking thing, like poking its head in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran over to and I started yelling it. I'm like, "You're not gonna take me. You're not gonna take me. I'm not going with you." And all it did was smile at me when I was hitting it in my quote dream. And that, like, I woke up like freaked out. I'm like, "What was that?" And then I think it was a couple days later, I was just browsing Amazon Prime and I see this thing that says Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. I'm like, what is this? So I clicked on it and I read what it was about and I was like, oh, this sounds cool. So I played it and got a different mindset. Like it was different. Like a lot of the ET related stuff is very violent and fear mongering or whatever you want to say. And it was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So I found that really interesting and fascinating. So what I did for about 2 weeks was I would envision that ET poking its head in the bedroom again and pushing down my fear and not being afraid. So I worked on that for literally 2 weeks. And then I had another dream of the same ET poked its head into the bedroom. And I felt that fear go up and then I pushed it away.
Mhm.
And then it smiled at me, it waved, and then walked away. So I don't know what any of that was, but
Yeah.
it's fascinating to me. So then I started looking for groups in the Illinois area, and I happened upon the one that I actually run now. And my first actual CE5 went May of 2021. And the guy that ran it, he actually became friends with Ed Moen, who was in Close Encounters of the Kind. He was the older gentleman that got his hearing healed.
Yes. Very familiar.
Yeah, so Ed was at my very first CE5.
Wow.
And it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life because usually you see UFOs, I say UFO, I don't like saying UAP, that's me. Um, but we'd see like lights in the sky every now and then. But when
Yeah.
Ed is there, we were all in a circle, we did the meditation, and we're in the middle of nowhere, like out on Moni. So it's just fields.
Yeah.
Um, and about a field away, there were this group of pine trees. And I was just thinking to myself, how that would be so cool if you went steer over there. And before I could even finish the thought, this shape that was kind of like this, it was like a golden orange red. I can't even describe the color. It just shot out from like behind the pine trees, even though we didn't see anything there. And it literally just disappeared. Like we didn't see it fly and keep flying and flying. It just like shot out and then poof, it dematerialized. I don't know what it did, but
Yeah.
it was so amazing. And of course there were no cameras or anything.
Oh, that sucks. That I mean, my question was, can
Yeah.
Pennywise fans? So
And I know that's
that,
the first question everybody asked. So it's like, yeah, I think a lot of the times they appear when there are no cameras. Like if they're
yeah,
recording, I've noticed that because there's been times where something will happen. As soon as I reach for my camera, it goes away.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I've never like had anything I'm trying to like actually like like record or anything like that like disappear on me or anything along those lines. A lot of times everything I've ever seen is like stationary. I don't get a lot of moving type of stuff. Like I'll get pictures of sort of like the stationary orb, and it'll be like what's funny too is I live around O'Hare Airport and I live in the flight
Yeah.
path and different stuff. So
Yeah.
I have to like really like I have to stand there for a minute if I see a white light and be like, okay, all right, do I start to see flashing green and red on the sides? Zooming in on it, is it twinkling like a star? Is it moving towards me? What's going on with it?
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of different stuff. Sometimes like I'll have one where I've zoomed in on something and then I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, that's a plane. But all the way up here, like literally like where my finger is in reference to the frame I'm in is like an actual silver orb then when I go back and look at it a second time. So the first time I go back and go through it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's clearly, that's this or that. And then there's something that I didn't even see that the first time it went through that's up into the corner or the side. So
Mhm.
I don't know. Weird, man. That's
I
it. But
see that a lot
yeah,
too. Yeah, they're just right there at the edge where you're filming. And like I've literally by accident just I'm recording stuff in this, trying to see stuff in the sky because I have a Cyan X or so
mm,
it's really good for like watching the sky and stuff, and I'll be looking just seeing if
What kind of camera is that? I'm sorry.
Psionics Aurora Pro.
So you have to tell me more about that later. Okay.
Yeah, so it was $1,000. So it was my birthday present to myself a couple years
Gotcha.
ago. But I like to use it at CE5s because you can see the Milky Way in it. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll be just scanning, looking for stuff in the sky, and I'll see something just like it's chilling, and it's like, whoop, nope, and it tries to like avoid the camera.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Like all of it has to how to put it. Like there's so much different stuff that everybody talks about seeing on different occasions.
Oh yeah.
It's something physical that resembles a craft. There's all of this weird video everybody has now of these strange. It looks like somebody glued a bunch of trash like on the outside of an orb and then sent it up. Like it's just all these weird angles of like just all this weird stuff people are videotaping, and like then how much of it is AI at this point
That's what I was
too.
about to say. Yeah,
Um,
you can't really trust.
yeah, I was like, oh, that's Photoshop. No, it's just AI. Nobody's even bothering with Photoshop anymore. Now they're just like, here, create me this because it's going to look better than what I try to come up with.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's some different stuff. That's right. I like when the different stuff now has, how do I put this? It has, I guess the way it was oversight on its research by somebody who's like a Richard Nolan or Dr. Greer or somebody along those lines, where it's like they're kind of like, yeah, cool, hold on, let me give my official opinion after looking at this kind of thing. So which is better than obviously it just taking somebody's word for it. So,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know what else to call it with like the Brugosphere that's out there right now.
Yeah.
It's in like official hands of like an organization that's studying it. It's not like where one guy has it and he's like, oh yeah, ooh, you want to see it? How much money you got? It's not
Yeah.
sitting there like that kind of a thing.
That's like Flurvy and Mommy as well. Like
Oh yeah.
that's fascinating to me. And like my beliefs are that we've been visited, or there's ETs that have been here for thousands and thousands of years, way before us. So that's what I think. So I think the Peruvian mummies are probably beings that were in that area with like the locals and stuff and lived with them.
Yeah.
And then something happened and they died. So then they put them in the diatomaceous earth, which that preserves stuff.
Right.
And that's honestly what I think, that where they came from. And of course, there's people that debate that, like, oh, well, there's no proof. They're fake. They're plaster, and they're this, they're
Right.
this.
Take it apart.
Mhm. So it's just like, I mean, everybody has different beliefs and opinions of, unfortunately, what we've seen recently. Um, but I'm very open-minded, and I try to look at all aspects first. Just like when I investigate, I try to debunk first. And then I get excited. Even though like
Right.
you're saying about the planes, I'll see a light and I'm like, oh, and I get excited. And then I'm like, oh, damn, that's a plane?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch I've gone through, and like I said, like I'm going through, and I was like, no, that's something right there. Yeah, the mummies thing. I'll be honest with you. I know what they are. I've read enough about them to know the situation. I think that at least some of them are real. Like that's something that like Dolan was saying yesterday in the call. Was I believe he said, there's some that are clearly actually kind of like recreations, or they're like an homage to what
Yeah.
would be the real ones. And then it's still, you can x-ray these things so many times and test them and do this and that and the other, but honestly, until you actually do like, what's the word? It's not dissection. It's when you like take a mummy and like everything in
Autopsy. Oh,
yes, there we go. That's
okay.
it, like an autopsy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those things where almost you could see a comedy movie or a sketch where somebody's like, cracks it on the ground. Oops. Oh, look at that. Oh, the shell came off of it. Let's take a look now. But yeah, unless somebody actually got cracked.
Right. Do you remember the alien autopsy from way back in like the
Oh, yeah.
what?
The Fox. It was not the Fox. So let's see, the Fox Mulder years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
X-File years. It was the black and white alien
Yeah.
autopsy. And that's why it's the one where, like, that same thing where there's, like, supposedly the people found on the Mars thing, where it's the woman in the spaceship. If you've ever seen that, where the camera keeps going like this nonstop, like, it's not a rap video, man. Nobody does that with a camera when they're doing a dissection on something, right? We're not trying to, like, yeah. So, yeah, that's another one where I'm, sure those ones are like an homage to, what's possible or something. But I always wonder too, some people make that kind of stuff because they're like, yeah, no, this isn't the real thing, but like this happened, and it'll like get people interested in finding out like more about, did this happen? That kind of thing.
I think a lot of stuff's like different creatures, like Atlantis. It all started from somewhere, and then through the years, now they're quote myths or
Mhm.
legends, and when it touches certain people, they get that burning curiosity, and then they have to go and find out and figure it out. That's actually how I ended up learning a lot of the stuff that I do know, because when I was growing up, I was having these experiences, and I would talk to people about it, and I'm crazy and all that stuff. My
Yeah.
class was only 24 people, my graduating class, so I
Oh
had
my
a
gosh.
very small town.
Your high school graduating class was 24 people.
Yeah.
I tell people mine was 2,000, and they're like, "Oh, really? Oh, I was from like LA. I was like 5,000." I'm like, "My God, 5,000 people. How did you do that?" It was a way lower number than that. I'm way over exaggerating this, but yeah, it was still a lot more than my school. And they were just like, "Oh, that's a small." I'm like, "That seems like a lot to me, but wow, 24 people."
Yeah,
Uh,
that's it. So
I
very
grew out.
town.
I grew up in Virginia in a small town called Millboro, which is funny
Okay.
because it's known for a bunch of past life regression stuff. Um, yeah, if we get through what we do, if we don't, we don't. But yeah, it was like I grew up in a town where like basically like there was only one class for each grade. And so when I moved to Illinois and we had three classes for each grade, everybody found it really unbelievable that like it was just like one. They were like, "My God, like, what? Seriously?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's class size, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's just different when you're in a smaller population of people." But um, that's very cool though, because if you came from a place where the population's that small, it means there's not a lot of light pollution, so you have very good views of everything
Yep.
going on at night.
Yeah. That's why the whole like, growing up and everything, if I like for a date, I guess you could say, I bring the guy I was interested in across the street into the golf course, and we
Yeah,
try watch and stuff. And then
yeah,
we see other stuff every now and then, like actual porn that you see with your eyes and stuff. Or there's times where we would see like these big, tall, black figures poke like go behind a tree after it's like we notice it and it goes behind a tree. We go look and it's not there.
yeah.
So like part of me wonders if I had like Sasquatch around the property, because we would always get rocks thrown at us as well all the
Oh yeah,
time.
yeah. That wouldn't. Where was this again?
I'm not gonna say the town, but it's kind of
Yeah.
southeast Illinois on the Indiana border.
Oh, okay. So this wasn't. Okay, so
Mhm.
gotcha. Yeah, no, and yeah, said yeah, you don't need to be that specific. Yeah, I just wondered if it was in the Pacific, if you had moved from like Pacific Northwest to here, and that's where you were
No, well, yeah, I
back
don't
in the
know.
day.
That's
Okay.
why, like, I didn't think it was Bigfoot, and then
Yeah,
with all the research that I do and all the stuff that I know, I'm like, huh. I wonder if it was a Sasquatch or Bigfoot in the woods, because a lot of the stuff that people experience, I experienced, and I just feel
yeah,
like there's, well, back then the demons in the woods, and I know better now.
yeah. Well, yeah, and there's all kinds of different phenomena stuff out there that has to do with like stuff. Um, You've got, people that see, like we were talking about, actual craft, actual like stuff, and then you've got the giant orbs that are out there and doing things, and then you've got stuff that you were talking about where you have things that are like 10 feet kind of in front of you. Who all is on there, different guys that talked about this stuff. I don't know which guys out of all of these people, were ever telling 100% of the truth, or who's trying to kind of, get you to see things from a certain angle. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's funny that you bring up the throwing of the rocks thing, because yeah, that's absolutely that everybody who talks about like being in the Pacific Northwest, another guy that was Benani from Canada was like, "Oh yeah, like if you're from like, um, was it maybe not the one that begins with a C. I can't remember the name. Calgary. He's from Calgary, and he's like, oh yeah, if you're
Right.
from Calgary, like everybody just like has like some kind of a Sasquatch experience, and it's just all like, yeah, that just happened. Like it's just whatever. They don't
Oh,
care.
God, yeah.
So
This Sasquatch, rest in peace, Jeffrey Meldrum. That sucks.
I'm not sure what you
So
referencing there.
Jeffrey Meldrum Dr. Meldrum, he's pretty much in almost every single Bigfoot documentary.
Oh, okay.
Idaho State University, and he was a scientist. And he just happened upon a Sasquatch footprint,
Mhm.
casted it, and then he became kind of an expert in Bigfoot footprints. Like the oh, what does he call them? Like our fingerprints, the toes and the pieces of and the, like the soles of the feet would have the lines like fingerprints.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who you're talking about now. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, he's like the only one that ever got that or something that found like that much detail in the
yep,
footprint.
yep. Same with like different arches, and
Hmm.
there was something else that he explained that is in their feet that we don't have. Um, that, like you could tell by the way that the foot is because it's very flat and we have arches.
Yeah.
But like he studied stuff like that. But yeah, I found out today he passed away from cancer,
Oh,
and I'm like, oh,
that's terrible.
dying to meet him for a long time.
Yeah.
Sucks. But yeah, anything paranormal, I think a lot of it is actually kind of intertwined. Like there's just
Hmm.
other place that we just can't see or hear. And every now and then stuff pops through. Like we can only see 10% of the light spectrum, I think it is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for all we know, I've got several different beings around me right now. We don't know.
Yeah, and the thing that's funny too is people are like, well, but you can't have two things in the same place at the same time. How are you passing through this and that and the other? All I know is this: very smart people in the quantum mechanics world have written books that I've read that say, here's the equation that shows this is true, that you can do this theoretically, and now people are saying they can do it in labs under controlled conditions. Now they've invented a material. I'll look for this, and if I can find the article, I'll put it in here. But it was something saying they have invented a material that exists in two places at the same time, and not
Oh, wow.
parallelly, but it can hold the superposition of being in two places at the same time, as more than an atom, like as an actual molecule of a material or something. So
I did not know about that. That's interesting.
yeah, when all of this different stuff happens on a day-by-day basis, and it's always, oh, we can't do that. That's, no, that can't do that. I've heard no since I was a child. And then somebody really smart, pops up, and it's going to be like you guys like 13 or 14 or something like that. It's going to be like, oh yeah, I know, I figured this out yesterday on Sketchpad, and here you go. But yeah, it's all you're doing is just waiting for the next breakthrough to come through, which, we're sort of stuck at an intercourse due to the withholding of certain technologies dealing with power generation, like electricity, basically, and other different various materials. But we won't get into the conspiracy aspect of things. Let's go back. I want to hear more about like the different experiences you've had, because I really want, that's one of the things like we try to do with the show is like, it's so that, you and me are not gurus with anything. We're just people like everybody else who are into this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they like
Other
talk
people
about
out
it.
there,
That's the idea.
other people out there having the same exact experiences,
so
and
yeah,
it's 2025, so yeah.
I think we froze for a second. Am I?
Broke up for a second.
Okay.
We'll fix it in post-production.
So
So
I'm trying to think other experiences. Well, one of the most profound ones that so the whole reason I started digging into this stuff and coming out of the paranormal closet is just out of nowhere. I was just thinking to the universe, oh, I wonder how I could get on podcasts that talk about paranormal stuff. Because since I grew up in such a small town, I had no idea that there were expos, like conferences, and you could
yeah.
meet all of these people. And my first, I guess you could say, investigation with well-known people was with Dave Schrader and Jim Pittman.
Okay.
Went and investigated the Joliet prison. And then a couple months later, Chris Fleming, who was a psychic I've looked up to since I was a kid, he had a pop-up Paraquan in Woodstock over here. And then I went to that, and then I'm like, how can I get into doing this stuff? I literally got 2 messages in the same day. One asking if I wanted to be a co-host on a podcast, I wanted to be interviewed. And I'm like, where'd this come from?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's how I started being more open about it. And then started like digging into my memories because I actually got interviewed for a book. It's my friends um Jackie and Bill Kuselos. They have a book about the Mothman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very familiar.
Okay. So they have a
Like
book
this.
about that, and their second book is the correlation between trauma and paranormal. And so they interviewed me for that. And as I was talking about, I'll bring up an experience and then memories flood. Like, oh my God, I forgot about this stuff. Because I keep all the
Yeah.
trauma that I've been through, I block a lot of it out.
Yeah.
Like my dad died when I was 10, and I saw his body when I was 10. So that messed my head up for a while. And once I started talking about all the other stuff, like stuff just started popping into my head. So um, one of the most, I guess you could say, clear, craziest experiences I had was when I was 18 or 19. My fiance at the time, his name was Bobby,
Okay.
watching my stepdad's house, which he lived down the road from us, and him and my mom were up in Wisconsin fishing. So we were at this place checking on stuff, and weird stuff started happening. Like the toilet kept flushing. We heard knocks on the walls, a door closed, a book shelf. So we were like, where's he?
Yeah. When the book flies off the shelf, it's time to go, man. That's it.
Like
There's no.
that's my house.
Right.
And I'm finding out now that I had an attachment. I didn't know that back then. So it followed us there and then messed with us. And then we started driving back, and we're driving up to the house, and the driveway's on the right, and Bobby slows the car down and stops. And he's like, what was that? And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I think I saw something. So he started creeping up, and we had like this section. I was telling you we have 2 acres of wood. So there was this section that was just a wooded area. So he pulled up to that, and we looked out the window, and this tall black figure that was kind of hunched over turned its head, and it looked at us with eyes like a glowing bluish white.
Okay.
And that was, he booked it. Like he picked it within
Yeah.
2 hours. We just drove around in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. But he was there. He was the first person to experience stuff with me.
Was that like in like like the burial ground area?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Which I found that out when I was in high school because I was just trying to record nature sounds to help me sleep. I think I was like 14 or 15. And I ended up catching UAPs. I didn't know what it was, but I'm like, why is there talking? There's nobody around. There was nobody around when I recorded this. Why do I hear talking?
Yeah.
And then showed it to a friend, and they were like, oh, that's an EVP. I'm like, what is that? And then he talked about it, and then that's when I started getting into the investigation aspect of stuff. So that's one of my clearest memories when I was a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm writing a book right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was gonna just ask, have you been like keeping track of this kind of stuff?
Yeah, so like when I do a lot of interviews and stuff like that. I'm actually speaking at a conference in a week. Wow, yeah, well that's a week away. The 20th in Joliet.
Yeah.
When not Expo, I'll be there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then at one of the last expos I did, I talked about attachments and like what they are, how you know you have one, and how to get rid of them. So
Yeah.
I'm starting to speak at stuff. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think of another like UFO experience. Oh, I know my stepdad believes in them now because
Okay.
before, and it was the 4th of July of 2022. So I'd been to a few CE5s by then, and I was always like, oh, hi, Star Family. I always say hi when I'm outside, look up at the sky and stuff. And so we're out at my mom's, she lives in a different house now. The house I grew up on or in foreclosed in 2022. And what's crazy is it's literally not even livable anymore. So the person that bought the property tore the original house down and started building a new one, like a 2-story. There's no siding on it. There's no walls inside. Like, it's just been sitting there for over a decade, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So when I was out at my mom's on the 4th of July, I always bring my zero gravity chair. She has one too because we do like to sky watch and see the
Mhm.
meteor showers. So after we were done lighting off fireworks and all that, we were just relaxing, chilling, and my mom was asking me about the CE5 stuff. I was like, oh well, I mean, if we all just get in like I have to remember how I described it, like in a loving mood, and we ask to see something that we might be able to, since we're in the middle of nowhere. There's no airports anywhere, so it's technically safe for them. Unlike
Yeah.
by us, where we're by an airport and there's the military base that's up north.
Right.
Uh, so we were all just sky watching, and I saw a power up, and then I was like, "Oh!" And I pointed, and I have a laser pointer with me. That's what I usually have with if I'm thinking about doing CE5 stuff.
Is that the video that you showed me?
That was a separate
Okay.
occasion, but yeah. So you use the laser pointer to like point where you're looking. I don't use it
Yeah.
follow the object. If someone's like, "Oh, where is it?" You circle it like right there, and then people can see where
Right.
you're looking. So I used my laser pointer and circled the object I saw, and I said out loud, I was like, "Can you do another power up for us?" And it got really, really big, and then it shrunk down again, and like quote disappeared. You just can't really see it. And then it did that like 2 or 3 other times, and then I don't know if it stopped, but we didn't see it anymore. And my mom was like, "Oh my God." And she was like, "Oh, that was so awesome." And then when we've done CE5s, we'll see like flashes off to the sides, like right your peripheral, just a
Mhm.
flash. And you look and there's something there. That's one thing I've noticed doing the CE5s. If I start seeing those, I know we're not alone, and I know that there's stuff up there that will more than likely appear. It's almost
Yeah.
like the quick flashes are like testing us. I don't know, but anytime it's happened, and everybody gets excited, we'll end up seeing a craft up in the sky. It'll do power ups. It'll stop, or it'll go back the opposite way. Stuff that we can't do, and that's how I know that it's a craft and not an airplane.
Yeah.
Stuff that it does. And then, like I was saying too, I have my one friend is quote art tech guy. He has all these different apps and all this stuff that tracks stuff in the sky. So if we do see something, we check first to make sure there's nothing there before being like, "Oh, that's a UFO." Like the footage I sent you, we all kind of had a feeling that it was a UFO. But then he was like, "Hey, what time is it?" And we're like, "Oh, it's 9." So then he checked everything from 10 minutes prior to 10 minutes after. In that little section of the sky, there were no satellite, there was no space station. And then I know what Starlink looks like, and it wasn't Starlink. I've seen Starlink, so it wasn't
Yeah.
that. And so then after when I recorded it, that's when I posted it because I'm like, well, we know for a fact that this was not debris or satellite. Like he checked. So
Yeah.
the only footage that I have because I'll forget to record, or as soon as I start recording, everything stops.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Um. Yeah. Again, there's I don't know. There seems to be categorically two types of experiences. One's where there seems to be some kind of a link where you're thinking of something and it's happening.
Yep.
Like people that are like, oh, blinked on and off. I've never had this experience before, but people say they have, where they can think it and it'll almost sometimes anticipate what it is. And then there's other ones where it's just it's there and it seems to be there and there doesn't seem to be any kind of thought. Like it's almost like they're just displaying themselves, so to speak.
Yeah. I've noticed that too, because I mean, the most, like I was saying, the most profound experience I had was when Ed Moen was there, and I like
Yeah.
barely finished the thought, and it shot out from the trees, and I was like, "Oh my God, that was amazing!" And I just did a CE5 with Ed in May at the Contact Modalities Expo,
Yeah.
And it was his birthday too, so it was nice seeing him. I hadn't seen him in a while, and we were just chit chatting and stuff. And um, we saw a couple very very high up. If you didn't have very good vision, you might not have been able to see it. I saw it through my camera. So we did see a couple of those, like stuff like that. And then Chris Bledsoe was there too.
Yes. Yeah.
And my friend and I, it's like I think around 10:30, and she was like, "Yeah, I think it's time to retire from the evening." Like, oh yeah, I think you're right. I'm exhausted because we were getting up at like 8 and at conference all day.
Yeah.
Um, and then I found out the next day, literally not even 10 minutes after we went inside, three orange orbs appeared and were dancing around on the lake, like up on the lake. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Goodness."
Someone else, it's funny you said that somebody else was actually on here that was talking about being outside and waking up to that exact same thing, saying that the three different orbs that were in the sky weren't
Oh, wow.
exactly orange orbs. So yeah. So yeah, there you go. It's two people randomly confirming the same thing.
Right.
What was I going to say? I had a question for you. I was just going to say, did you want to go back for something? You talked about something interesting, talking about having like an attachment. I don't remember what you referred to it as. What was it you were talking about exactly?
Um, well, I've spoken about attachments, and then also I figured out that's what I had when I was younger.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I just know that weird shit always happens around me, no matter
Yeah. Okay.
what. So paranormal stuff would happen around me. I was really violent or really hateful. Um, I cut myself all the time. I tried to kill myself and all this other stuff like that. And it didn't, this is another one of those revelations that I had when I was literally being interviewed.
Mm,
Last year, I think it was.
okay.
They were like, "Oh, when do you think that it stopped? Like, when did it go away?" And I was like, 2013, I think, early 2013." And it clicked, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's after we left that property, after it got foreclosed on.
Okay.
That's when it stopped." Like, was working at Cigna. Like, I'll even see like my Facebook posts from back then, like, "Oh, I'm loving life. I'm having such a good
Right.
piss," and very positive, upbeat, happy stuff. So
So
it's
you moved off of the actual sort of what would be called like the burial ground property to a different location.
yep.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
I mean, that would
interesting.
sounds like that would make sense to me. Yeah.
Well, like, I didn't know that it was an attachment, but it makes sense since Bobby and I moved in with like his family, and they started having experiences while we were living there. Like the brother started walking downstairs and he saw like a dark shadow in the middle of the living room. So he went back upstairs and got his face all bad. And then he came down and it was gone and nobody was there.
Yeah.
His sister who lived on her room was on the second floor. She would come home from work and she would see somebody staring out the window at her, but nobody was home.
Oh, that's so gross.
Right?
I know that's one of the things where like that's common in like haunting situations and seeing that and
Yep.
like yeah, there you know what, there's one time where it turned out to be an actual person living in somebody's house. It was like living in the basement, like in like a crawl space type of thing. It's a totally weird story. We won't get into that one. But yeah, seeing like somebody that is like staring out your window or something along those lines has to be just about the creepiest thing possible.
Yeah.
And that's it. Is like by the time you're out of your car and you're into the house, of course, obviously there's nothing there.
Yeah. So when I was like pin for like figuring all the different strings to attach, I guess you could say like this and this and this, and it all came together, and I was like, holy crap, I had an attachment. It makes the most sense. It wasn't like everywhere I went was haunted. I was haunted, I guess you could
Yeah,
say. I
yeah,
don't know by what, but as soon as the foreclosure happened, January 2013, that's when things started to like shift in me. And like people that know me now, they're like, "You were hateful and like violent? That doesn't make any sense." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly."
right. Yeah, man. Dude, it sounds like, in some sort of way or whatever, some kind of, intelligent type of thing was, attached to you and just messing with you and influencing you in a negative manner. However,
Yep.
I always say like that's at the end of the day, like you can kind of reduce these concepts down, to like what's going on as opposed to like what's like a religious like explanation for anything.
Yeah.
It's like,
Mm.
I don't care what place you come from, Bhutan or, or anything else along those lines. You've got something doing something and it's good or it's bad basically every time.
Yeah. Like my mom, I talked to her about this stuff and she kind of believes me, but she to this day she's never experienced anything aside from seeing the UFOs to me. Um, but she actually had a pastor come out and bless the property. Like he walked the property line and everything, trying to, I guess you could say, soothe me to be like, hey, it's gonna be fine, we're doing this. And it worked for about 2 weeks and then it stopped.
Mm,
So, like, that's why back then I used to think it was a demon, but I don't think that anymore. I think it was like the protectors of that land, probably. And
gotcha. Okay.
they're making sure that the land isn't lived on by the new people because they
Right.
literally tore up so much of the land. We had like privacy bushes they took out. We had like a half acre of just woods in one of the yards. That's all gone. All of the like flowers and all types of stuff my mom planted because she loves to plant and garden, gone. So I think the whole reason we were allowed to live there was because my mom added to the property. And now the people that live there now took away from the property and now they can't even finish building their house.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Yeah.
Why? Like building problems and stuff or what's going on?
Yeah, bro. So I'll just like I'll just finish talking about this. So I have a friend that was saying he wanted me to be on his series on Amazon. So he called me and was like, "Oh, what kind of experiences have you had?" And I
Yeah.
pretty much word vomited for about an hour. And he was like, this is a documentary movie, not a 15-minute like little session. Do you think we could get access to the property and film there?" And I was like, I mean, I don't really know who owns it. And then December of last year, literally December 20th, I was got the bug up my butt to figure out who owned the property. So I
Okay.
joined like this county clerk group,
Okay.
then found out who owned the property. And it turns out I went to school with this person. He was just a couple of years older than me.
Yeah.
And I found out that we were Facebook friends. Never interacted with each other ever. And then so I found out who it was on the 20th. And then on Christmas, I made a happy Christmas toast. Everybody have a good day. And he literally commented, "Have a Merry Christmas, Jessie." And I'm like, I have never interacted with this guy ever. I just found out who he is. And now what? Like, I didn't tell anybody who it was. I knew. And I told my fiance. So that was interesting. And then January rolls around and I finally got I guess you could say the balls to message him. And I was like, "Hey, I'm Jessie. You own, this address and everything. I grew up there. My dad passed away in the driveway." Just trying to open up conversation. And he literally was like, "Hey, what's going on? I don't know why, but for the past year, I haven't been able to get you out of my head." And that's when I was talking about the property within that last year.
Yeah.
And then he tells me he can't get me out of his head for the past year, so he added me on Facebook. And he goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, I believe in spirituality and paranormal stuff." I'm like, I didn't even have to ask that question. You brought it up.
Right. You just brought it up.
Yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, I get growled at a lot on the property. I just growl back at it." And I'm like, what? So it's just fascinating to me
That's
that the series of events. I finally find out who it is. I don't tell anybody. This said person is friends with me on Facebook. We've never ever interacted, but he says Merry Christmas. And then in January, when I message him, he's the one that brought up paranormal and says he hasn't been able to get me out of his head for a year. Like,
yeah.
what the hell? But he told me that they've been having problems getting permits and oh, there's another word, having to do with building stuff, but they've been trying
Building
for
code.
a decade. Yeah, and they've been trying to
Yeah.
get the permits and all the right things that they need, and it's just not happening.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That sounds like it might be connected from one to the other there.
Mm,
Yeah, that stuff has a way of, working itself out.
right. So that's why I call myself like a paranormal researcher. I'm not just
Yeah.
or ghosts or Sasquatch. I'm everything. I love everything.
Yeah, you know what's funny with the Sasquatch thing too? I just have heard a couple of different people say this, and two of them are like one of them is somebody I know, and this was like a long time ago, and then I just had somebody on that was actually just on the show, and I was explaining that yeah, he said when he went there for military training in the Yukon, or I don't know where we're calling it, Mount McKinley now again, I guess. So anyhow, he was up in that area, but he was saying when you go up there to do like survival training, him and other like Delta Force guys and stuff. This is his story, not mine. But he basically said like all these guys get sent up there for the training. They're told like when they get up there that like there's like forest apes basically that are like big giant ape-like creatures that are
Wow.
up there and out there, and just don't interact with them. Don't try to like track them or do anything. And like if you hear them make noise, just turn around and go the opposite direction. Just stop what you're doing, go around the opposite direction. We don't want like honestly your weapons aren't really going to do much because they're so big. Um, but yeah, so I had heard that from somebody, and then I mentioned it to this guy that was talking about, oh yeah, if you're in Canada, like it's just kind of a normal thing for us up here. But he had been in the Air Force, and he was like, yeah, no, I got the exact same thing in the Canadian Air Force. He goes, they sat us down and they're like, you guys are going to laugh at us. You're going to think this is hazing. We're not hazing you. This is a real thing. Um, but yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that, I don't know, it's two different people. They have no reason to possibly make up the exact same
Right.
story. Like, and
I'm
especially
sure.
the first guy,
Oh,
yeah, like, and especially the first guy telling it to me, I was just literally working with this guy. He was like an intern, and he was like casually mentioning it, and I was like, oh, well, all right, man, that's cool, I guess. I don't know.
That's funny. But yeah, I love that stuff. That's like fascinating because I don't know how familiar you are with like a lot of the documentaries and stuff that are on Amazon Prime, but there's this one called The Tall Lights. And
Oh, yes.
oh god, it's gonna drive me nuts. I can't
I
remember.
I found the audiobook and listened to that first, and then
Okay.
I saw the documentary. But yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Mhm. That's stuff like that's so fascinating to me. That's another reason why I think a lot of this stuff is known to certain sections of the governments, and they just don't tell us about it because there's too many instances of like armed forces people, every branch of it having different types of experiences with stuff that they can't explain, and they're pretty much signing DNRs or
NDA.
NDA. Okay, you know what I meant. Yeah, signing that.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. But
But yeah, so it's just interesting how people who are literally trained, vigorously are having experiences with stuff that they had no idea about. They weren't believers. They never even thought twice about this stuff. And they're like, oh, this happened.
yeah, and again, nobody's making any money off this. Like
Yeah.
nobody is. Like if you like, for some reason, people see guys like on video on the internet, and it's like, oh, they must be making money doing this. No, it's literally like, I'm not making any money right now, folks. I'm not a monetized system person here.
Mhm.
But yeah, all these different people talking about this kind of stuff. These guys are losing their clearance, losing their, pensions, all their. These guys are, they're driven into the ground, destitution-wise, financially, and what's the other word I'm looking for? Like their reputation-wise and
Yeah.
everything. Which is a great segue to the UAP hearings that we had in Congress. Did you finally get a chance to view any of that or no?
No, unfortunately. Well, like, I don't know how I feel about those because I'm trying to kind of word it right. I don't want to say that they're lying, but I feel like it's there for show, and that's why
Mhm.
they're doing that. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. Dr. Greer was talking about that on a call yesterday,
Oh, okay.
like a podcasting he does where, yeah, he was kind of, I mean, and I'm paraphrasing, but he seemed to be of the opinion that that, obviously there's better witnesses than be called. If, Congress has the book and stuff that, they've been given, that I can just say that I know they've been given this thing. It's got a bunch of witnesses in it. It's like 700 people. And those
Yeah.
first person people that have worked on projects, all sorts of stuff, list of the bases, everything. And, they again keep calling, these different people who aren't, they're firsthand witnesses, but they're not people who have worked on a part of the program itself. They're not
Yeah.
actual first person guys in that, in that way. Um, on the legal side of it, what the Congress people seem to be saying was sort of like, we're only allowed to call certain people. Like they have to get clearance to call certain people. So yeah, somewhere along the food chain, and they even were talking about this in the UAP hearings. Paulina Luna was even saying, she's like, yeah, we're trying to get this. We're getting blocked from it. Um,
Mhm.
it was a lot of just sort of summing up all of the different roadblocks that everybody's hitting moving forward. And then I don't know, some guy tried to call everybody called Luna and her lunatics. Some guy that's some investigative type person.
Good.
She fired something back at him and just was like, yeah, you're a small petty man, you're insignificant, and like you have a complex. And it was an absolute shutdown. I thought it was totally hilarious.
That sounds so.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing that, that he was kind of talking about was, and other people have brought this up too, is you've been given people to go after. And that's kind of, they were saying this though in the hearing, like other people were like, can you give us names of first person people to call? Who are these people? And I was going to say, like, you have a list of people that you've been given already. But what these guys said was, I can give you those names in a skiff. So that's better than nothing. And I think that it's going to be like pulling teeth, basically.
Yeah.
Uh, I compare this and I'll say it's sort of like, everybody who tries to like block Trump from doing anything. And it's just like this drag out court case after court case after court case of, trying to stall and roadblock stuff. And that's the exact same tactic that's being used on this side. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's along with scare tactics too.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that's one thing I've been thinking about a lot too, is like all the crazy crap that's been going on this year. It's like, are they trying to make sure people are in a fear state to pull the whole Project Bluebeam thing?
Right.
That's pretty much where there's going to be like fake ET invasion thing to keep people
False
free.
flag operation.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's one thing that I've been thinking about, but like with the Ukraine and Russia thing going on in Israel and Iran and all that crap, people were like, "Oh my God, it's going to be the World War III nuclear apocalypse." And I know deep down that that's never going to happen because there's no way that the ETs would allow that. Like, there's videos of them literally blowing stuff up in the sky, like shooting beams at it and everything.
Right.
So I don't think that would happen. And then that footage that what's funny is my fiance just happened upon it on YouTube. He's like, "Babe, you're into this alien shit. Have you seen this?" And I was like,
So
"Actually,
the
like this."
missile thing.
Yeah, and the missile thing, yeah. And he's like, "That's insane." And I'm like, "This is why I've been telling you, World War III with nuclear weapons is not going to happen because these things are too far advanced. A, they either live here and they don't want their planet to get fucked up, or or they're in a
Oh, I
different.
don't, you can say whatever you want out here.
Okay,
Yeah.
or they're from like a different dimension and they just happened to feel when stuff was happening with nuclear weapons here. I don't know if you know who Paula Harris is.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
She's worked with Jacques Vallée for a lot of her life, who in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the film, the Spielberg's film,
Yeah.
there was like this French guy that was talking to a lot of people about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so they
Yeah, I know who
that
Jack
guy.
is.
Okay, yeah, so Paula has known him for a long time, and I actually met her back in May at the conference, and she has a book called Trinity, and it's pretty much it was a testing site, I think in New Mexico by
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It was the Trinity. Yeah, it was yeah, for the nuclear weapon there.
Mm, and pretty
Now I can't think of the name of it. Was it White Sands?
it's I think north of White Sands, but it's not exactly White Sands. It was a completely separate testing site. And after this was before Roswell.
Right, right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
you,
this was
you
the
tested
test for it.
something, and then on this ranch, this avocado shaped craft crashed, and these kids saw. They called them ant people. And
Okay.
they were like running around and stuff, and they crashed. Then this was before Roswell, so this is like I think they call it like the pre Roswell incident, but it was the same thing. Like us messing with nuclear power, like punched a hole into the dimension. That Earth.
I've never heard of that before.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah, like with everything I've heard about, I'm not like an expert on it all. I just know a lot about like the program for the development of the nuclear weapon and all of that kind of
Okay.
different stuff. Just because I find it interesting, that's it. But yeah, no, I would. So yeah, the Trinity site, I actually have like a poster of that,
Oh,
painted by David Lynch, the guy who did Twin Peaks and everything. It's this really
oh,
cool
okay.
print that he has
Yeah.
where it's almost made to look like one of those 1950s like vacation posters, like
Yeah.
California type of things. Yeah, it's really cool. I don't have any of my stuff up in the background right now, but no, that's incredibly cool. It's really rare, honestly, that people talk about a lot of stuff where I'm not like, oh yeah, I've heard of that before. But no, you've totally blown my mind. I had no idea that there was something at the Trinity site before the Roswell event.
Yeah. They actually went down and interviewed these two boys because they were, I think one was 10, the other was 12. They were really young, and they were out, trying to find all their cattle and everything. So they had like binoculars, and they saw this like explosion crash, and they went in with their binoculars, and they were watching it through the binoculars. They said it looked like an avocado, um, but it was on its side, and they saw in like a window, and they saw the ant people running around in the craft and going outside of the craft, and they actually had physical evidence that I don't remember where it ended up. But so Jacques Vallée and Paula went down there, and then started talking to the two kids that are really old. I think one of them actually already passed away,
Yeah.
and they got rapport with them, and they finally got trusted, and they were telling them how when they ran back to the house to tell their father what happened, the father called the police, and they went over there, and they tried to grab physical evidence before like the army got there,
Right.
and they ended up having this like material just like Roswell, where it folded up and then it would go back into a straight formation.
Yeah.
And then there was this, they called it a string of lights. So I guess you could say kind of like fiber optics before we had fiber optics. I
Yeah.
think this was in 45 or 40, 1945 or 46 when this happened.
Okay.
Um, and so the kids said that one of the things that they grabbed was a string of lights that the people around them would put like on their Christmas tree, and they never had to plug it in.
Okay.
I can't remember what happened to it, but I know that they talked about that with Paula, and oh, what is the one kid's name? I think it's Jesus, just something like that. Um, but yeah, one thing that they kind of, I think it was telepathic with the beams, is the nuclear stuff punched a hole in between the dimensions by accident, and that's how they ended
Okay.
up there.
Yeah.
Which I think I've heard that theory as well with the Clifford Stone. Does that name sound familiar?
Talk about the case. Well, what's the case?
So Clifford Stone I think he was in the Army or
Okay.
Marines, but he literally was tasked with going to crash sites and grabbing the bodies and the equipment and stuff, and he became friends with a bunch of different races of extraterrestrials in the military.
Mm, okay.
And they would talk telepathically. And there's this photo from 1950, July of 1952, of the White House, and there's all these lights around it.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I think I've seen that picture, or I've
okay.
seen one of those pictures.
Yeah, so that photo, according to Clifford Stone, was they recovered a body and a living being, EBNs or EBEs, I can't
Hmm.
remember what it was. And Clifford had a rapport with one of them telepathically. They would talk through the door, and he pretty much was saying that his people were coming to get him if he could get him out of the secured area that they were coming for him. So
Yeah.
Clifford let him out and got him outside, and that's what all those lights were the people coming, or the ET's family coming to grab him. And Cliff was like, just thinking about it, Clifford started like crying when he was talking about it. But that was something else that those being said was when we started playing with nuclear weapons, we accidentally punched a hole in in dimensions,
Yeah.
and been able to start coming back to the area, I guess we could say, because that before, like, it was closed, and then we started playing with nuclear weapons, and then it like got punched open again. Because if you think about it, when the nuclear stuff started happening, all the UFO sightings started to ramp up
Right.
in like
Right. Yeah.
60s, 70s. I think it was 61 was Betty and Barney Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's another theory that I've always found fascinating. Am I talking too much?
No, no, I was gonna see. I always let everybody just keep going, man. That's like everybody's got. Yeah, no, that's another one where like, I kind of think maybe I've heard of that before. There's a bunch of different like supposed, different times when guys have gotten rescued. Then there was the guy that was. I've never gone to any kind of like conventions for any of this, but I used to like dye my hair almost like white blonde,
Mhm.
and I've always seen these pictures of this character, Valiant Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Or was,
Yeah.
yeah, so I've always wanted to go to the conventions and just completely dress like that in costume and just walk around and then just be like, "What are you talking about? I don't know who that is." Like, no, that's not me.
I
Um,
the Ozark UFO conference a handful,
okay,
which that's down in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Dolores Cannon actually started it in '86. I'm actually wearing one of the shirts. It's a little ET
oh, okay, yeah,
thing.
yeah,
um, but oh god, I met so many amazing people there. So Lou Elizondo,
yeah,
Dave Graber, and all them. There's another guy named Sean Cahill who's
okay,
in the Nimitz. He was there not last year, the year before that, and big dude. You could tell he's military. One of the kindest people I've ever met. But he actually has had experiences throughout his life, but he never talked about it. And then when the Nimitz incident happened, oh god, well, he was one of the people that was using the gun binoculars. He wasn't trying to shoot at it, but he was using it to see what was going
yeah,
on. He was one of the people that called it out. So he was talking about that. And actually, when I went up to him, I was like, "You look like you need a hug," and so I gave him a hug. And
was
I was
he the
like,
one where was it like a triangular type of thing where then like he got some kind of reprisal for the fact that like he even said he saw it, like somebody was talking about being on one of the I mean, I'm sure this has happened more than a bunch of different times,
right,
where yeah, but that sounded familiar, but I think I'm thinking of somebody different.
yeah, he was the Tic Tac videos
Oh, okay, yeah, okay,
part on the Nimitz, yeah. But I know what you're talking about. It's like this big triangle looking thing over the ocean and stuff, which I do think that we have, there's extraterrestrials, or maybe they're us, but they have been hidden for all these years. We don't know, but they're in the water. Like, there are so many instances of UFOs going in and out of the water, or people seeing lights in the ocean. Like, even Christopher Columbus said that there was, a light over the side of the boat, and of course it was a sea monster. It was a kraken or something.
right,
But
right,
like nowadays, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it was ships down there from that
yeah.
long.
They saw something. They
Yeah.
these guys weren't. I know people think like, oh, everybody back then just made stories up. Well, kind of. You made stories up to sound cool in front of other people or to like, make money selling a book. But nobody just like writes in their journal for no reason. Like,
Nobody wants to
nobody wants to
like
sound crazy.
think crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nobody's like, oh, yeah. And on day 92, I saw this, large fish creature jump onto the deck, tap dance, and then swim back into the ocean or something.
Right.
Like, no. Just no motivation to do that kind of thing.
Yeah. And like I know they're in Christopher Columbus's journal, he or captain's log or something, he wrote, how they saw like it was the dead of night and they saw a sun that literally led them to, where they ended up. They followed the sun
Yeah.
in the dead of night, I think was the wording of it. Like, if you're going to make something up, you're going to make it like spectacular. Like, oh my God, not just like, oh yeah, there was a sun in the night sky. People would be like, oh, isn't that the moon? Or they would say something like that. So why would they make something like that up? If they wanted to make something up, they would make it sound amazing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you would think, first off, they're not going to want to give credit to something for, oh, this inanimate object led us there. Well, if it's inanimate, then what was it? You're saying it was another sun. I feel like they would have literally been more motivated because, everybody back then was traveling and, putting the stake down,
Yeah.
declaring, oh, this is for God now. But, it was for the Christian church or the Catholic church. Everything declared for that, that kind of a reason. So yeah, no, you would say like you'd have every reason to say that like, oh, an angel led us or God did or the star did, something along those lines, something divine led us there. But yeah, to be like, oh yeah, there was a sun in the sky. Well, people didn't really know what a sun was back then. That was what they knew to describe it as. So they just saw a big glowing, fiery orb in the sky and they didn't know what else to call it but a sun.
Yeah, that's a lot of the stuff from a long time ago. Like,
tons of millions of years.
Yeah, like here, like Ezekiel, the Bible. That's another example. Like spinning wheels. Well, they don't know what a UFO is or a ship or anything. They've never seen anything fly. What did it look like? It looked like a wheel and it was spinning in the sky. They had no other words to describe it. Like Giorgio Tsoukalos talks about that a lot, which I'm 100% on board with that. Like if you don't know what it is, if you're going to describe it as close sounding to what you know.
Yeah, there's different stuff in the not just the Christian canon of like the New Testament and Old Testament, but the apocryphal stuff and the pseudepigrapha. There's tons and tons of different stuff like that where people are coming into contact with, well, let's say, sentient beings of some kind, and then also all of this different phenomenon that they don't know how to describe that has, fire and all sorts of different things like that going on with it because, again, they didn't have anything else they didn't know what to really like talk about and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like, sometimes it sounds like they're talking about rockets that are being fired. Well, nobody that goes back in time or travels at that point from one planet to another is probably using rockets. So, what the heck is that? Where does that even come from? That's where people are like, well, it's because time travelers actually went back in time and that's where that comes from. It was kind of funny. There was something that, I missed what prompted this response, but from Richard Dolan. And he said, okay, so let's say this, did aliens possibly make a contract with the government to like abduct people? That could be true. Sure. Because we're talking about things out there and we're talking about people. Could it, do we put it past anybody? No. Does that mean it's true? No, it may not be true in any way, shape or form, but is it plausible is kind of what he's getting at, that in any of this, because it's so not organized and because it's so random and because people have different experiences that are similar but different every time, that there's all of this, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but yeah, what did Christopher Columbus see? I have no idea. But yeah, there's tons of different people in history that, had similar different stuff going on like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I love learning about stuff like this. That's why I always tell people I'm an encyclopedia of supernatural.
Yeah.
It's like I know little bits and pieces about a bunch of different subjects, but this is my passion. I love to talk about this stuff because if you have an open mind, you like to discuss different stuff like this. Like, oh, well, what could this be? Well, it could be this, but maybe it's this. You don't really know. And just like all the stuff that we've heard from all these different people throughout the years, we're never going to truly know if it was 100% the truth unless we were there, or like you get a court, like maybe an ET being that Clifford Stone knew is going to come down when, full disclosure happens. Like, oh yeah, he was right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of different predictions going on for the future too. I like to hear
Yeah.
those different ideas everybody's got. Um, I don't hear very many. I used to hear lots of people, and I call this the channeling circle because I'm very skeptical about people who say, "Oh yeah, I'm a channeler," because like a lot of times, if you say like, "Oh, I can speak to people on the other side that have passed over," and your grandfather just wanted to say you have 75 cents in your pocket, and you're like, "Well, I do have 75 cents in my pocket." Okay, that's pretty verifiable. But a lot of times, anybody out there can be like, "Oh yeah, I'm channeling and the beings are telling me to, take care of the earth and make sure we're kind to each other." And it's like, that's cool, man. Do they have like any kind of like electric power source they can give us, any kind of scientific knowledge?
Correct.
So I'm kind of critical in that area. But then there are some guys where like there's a gentleman and I can never remember his name. Yeah, I think we were talking about that. Yeah. So yeah, Danny, or I can't remember his first name.
Daryl.
Daryl, that's it, yeah. So, yeah, I've seen him on a lot of stuff, and the particular when he does that, there's a lot. I don't know how to put it. It sounds like you're talking to an actual different,
Oh yeah.
intelligent mind being or whatnot. And same thing goes for some different people. But yeah, a lot of those different people that are in that community, when I was around 12 and 13, it was nothing but disaster was on the way, cataclysm and disaster, and nuclear weapons. And every psychic it was gloom and doom. But I don't know, after we seem to have gotten past 2012, I don't know what was maybe supposed to happen at that time. But, all of the different things going on, all these guys these days are like, yeah, we don't see anything of nuclear weapons being on the horizon. We see more of social issues, and people have, extremism and things like we have just witnessed, all of these sorts of different areas like that. So I'm really happy to hear that because, that's kind of at least a canary in the coal mine of that,
Right.
these guys aren't talking about leaving the country, so they seem, like nothing bad's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, I know, a lot of I guess you could say channel and UFO circles that I'm in, and how I feel, because I just know things a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Um, 2026, 2027, I know something is gonna happen that has to do with extraterrestrial stuff. And
Yeah.
I was already thinking that. And then Daryl Anko's been on Jimmy Church's show a couple times, and he's been saying that. I'm like, I already felt that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm not going to sit here like, okay, we only got this many months left. Oh, it's only 2 weeks away. I'm not going to sit there and
Yeah.
put all my faith in it. But if it happens, I'll be like, oh, I thought so.
Yeah. 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 I think, I of course can never remember his name now. UFO God, Chris, he was
Oh,
just.
Chris Bledsoe.
Yes, thank you. I don't know why for some reason I always continue to forget his last name.
He's such an amazing soul.
Yeah.
I got to give him a hug, and he radiates love energy. It's amazing. He's such a great person.
Yeah, he talks about the, these different events. Yeah, some stuff he says like, yeah, I really can't talk about it. I can't really like talk about it. But, one of the things he said too is like, when I'm giving this information, I'm also told, and other people have said like, this is all possible to change. It has to do on what's going on down here with
Yep.
people because it has to be a positive time for it to happen. They're not
Yep.
going to have it be at a time that will cause some kind of panicky type of thing. But
Which is why I think all of the bullshit this year that's been happening, all the shootings, all the crazy shit,
mm,
like I have a feeling that they're doing that on purpose. So, because I mean, if you think about it, the government's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, we kind of knew about this, and we haven't told you guys for this many years." So I think Jimmy Church just said this, where it's like they don't want it to happen because then they're going to be called out and nobody's going to trust them. I mean, that's already been kind of happening since 2020.
Yeah, that's why I mean that is one of the things that's going to happen. Yeah, to a certain extent. But see. Here's the only thing though. And this is where I kind of differ, I think, or maybe I don't differ, but at least kind of in my mindset of it. Um, I don't realistically think there are very many people that are what I'm going to call um, active, out there, participatory people in this that are like, not, I don't know how to put this exactly. Like, I don't think there's realistically anybody of what we would call above ground or even secret, top secret type of clearance that knows about any of this type of recreation stuff. And that's just me. I think literally around the 40s, and I think, I mean, Dr. Brewer's kind of like this too, where around like the 40s, everything got locked down, and you had, I always call it the good guys and the bad guys, and the bad guys pushed all the good guys out. And as they've gotten older and retired, they've gotten replaced with more bad guys, and they're just in those key positions, all over the place. So, yeah, I don't know if there'd be that many actual people that are in places of politics and like above ground that would be the ones who would be embarrassed. I think it's going to be a lot more of people that would be in like the intelligence agencies, maybe.
Yeah.
But the big ones, it's going to be aerospace industry guys. It's going to be private industry people who have money tied up in this, companies tied up. And that's why Dr. Greer has been like, you're going to have to just say, look, give us the information. We're not going to come after the money. That's it. We're not coming after your livelihood, your money, your family. You're fine. But we're asking you to tell us everything, and we're going to give you like an amnesty type of thing or something. So, and they've been trying to get that through Congress now for a couple of years. It got killed one time in the past. I don't know what just got killed in the other, but we've got the other bill that's up for grabs now, so we'll see what happens with that.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that too. Like when I say government, I don't exactly mean like the president and the secretaries. I don't think.
Yeah, the non-government government.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always call it the family because I say, look at it like
Yeah.
look at it like a racketeering scam. That's what I was saying. It's just literally like a racketeering scam, except, there's not really one boss. It's like you got families, plural, that are all kind of, working together, but not always getting along type of thing.
Yeah.
That's my impression of things, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I do also think that a lot of it is money based as well. Because I mean, like we were kind of talking about pre-show, like electricity, coal, oil, all that stuff, they'll all go out of business as soon as we get better technology. And then there's all the instances of different people that have come up with different ways of energy creating, and then they just like disappear or they
Right.
up dead or something like that. I can never remember the people's names, but I know there was this one guy in Brazil that created like a water engine for like a car, and then I think he got poisoned at like a Denny's.
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It wasn't Brazil. He was in like somewhere in the U.S. I don't remember, but yeah,
Okay.
he met all of these guys. Dude, Dr. Greer talks about this all the time. All these guys that are like, no, I'm gonna market it. I know these guys. It's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. Yeah, dude was at a Cracker Barrel. He met some investors. Took a drink out of a glass of cranberry juice is the story, and then got up, ran out to the parking lot, said they poisoned me, and dropped dead.
Yep.
And then like his brother basically said that like they cremated the body or something like before anybody could do an autopsy or anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's lots of stories like that about people that have ideas and inventions that will get us off of all the crazy amounts of money that everybody is spending for energy. So I think a
Well,
lot of it's money driven too.
yeah. And man, dude, like that's not an easy thing to get the world off of. Like I'm not going to even lie about it. If somebody said, okay, cool, Ryan, so here, build these factories and it's going to take like 20 years, but just start getting everybody off oil and gas. Okay, cool. So what do we shut down first? What country do we stop buying from? We have a lot of countries like in the Middle East and in, South America that are literally like reliant on nothing but oil and gas and things
Yeah.
on this line. So, some of them are like completely self-sufficient, like Russia, like other different places, they can literally, like, if there was an end of the world, pretty much go back to like agrarian living and still like survive and stuff. Um, but that's how reliant people are economically on these different areas. That's,
Right.
John McCain said it. He's like, Russia is a gas station with an army protecting it. That's it. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, man, I get it. Like when it comes to it being, people wanting to be protective, but again, um, it, like y- you can't keep going at a certain point in time where you can keep progressing to a point where we need energy we just can't come up with. Like,
Yeah.
especially for like all the AI everybody wants to do.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Even let's say there's nothing maniacal and nothing bad happens whatsoever. Let's say that we figure out how to make AI just like absolutely the nicest thing on the face of the planet and nothing ever goes wrong with it. The amount of power and electricity that is needed for all of these AI systems, I didn't really know this. I knew they used a lot of power, but I didn't realize you needed like a freaking like power farm basically in general. And that they were like, well, to come up with an answer costs, $4,800 because that's the amount of electricity that is used in operating the equipment, the computers, to give you the answer. It was some weird number like that. I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly what it was.
Same. Yeah, I didn't know that
But
either.
yeah, that's what like people were talking about is as the AI gets bigger and better and more powerful, and you've got more and more of it everywhere all over the place. Yeah, you're just using up tons and tons of electricity.
Right. That's interesting. Did you want to go over anything else? Because we're almost at an hour and a half already.
No, I was just gonna ask if you wanted to talk about anything, with your upcoming, your stuff you're gonna be at, the events you're gonna be at, or anything.
Well, so far the only thing I got going is on the 20th. I'll be in Joliet. It's called the Equinox Expo. I think it's a country banquet. And that goes from 10 to 5. I'll be doing Reiki, energy healing, sound healing there. And then on October 12th, it's a flower event. It's at the Tinker Swiss Cottage in Rockford. It's called Trunk or Treat. So I'll be offering like little mini sessions for the couple hours that I'm there. So those are the
Cool. Okay.
going on.
Hey man, it's all good. It's like just is what it is. I think this is a great time period that we've got all of these things that are going on all over the place. Like there's small things going on all over, but they weren't going on 5 years ago. They certainly
Yeah,
weren't going on
exactly.
10 years ago. Nobody on Channel 7 was talking about any of this kind of
Yep.
stuff. And now ABC, NBC, everybody, even when I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, your person who's analyzing this is really incorrect. Like, at least you're talking about it and it's
At
not
least
like,
it's there for public consumption.
yeah, it's not anything that's, causing you to be like, oh no, no, we're going to be attacked. But yeah, no, it just, the stuff wasn't being talked about before. So it's just great to see everybody out there, like, doing kind of events like you're doing. So, but that's awesome. But Jesse, thank you so much. Really really appreciate you coming on today. And again, thank you so much for being pliable with your time. We tried to do this yesterday, and I had an issue, and you were nice enough to reschedule with me here. So, all right, awesome. Well, you have a wonderful rest of the night, and I will hopefully talk to you again soon. And I'd love to catch up when we get some more information on stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, awesome.
Having me on, I appreciate it.
Yep. All right, cool.